Welcome to the Recruitment Agency Growth Podcast, otherwise known as The RAG. My name's Sean Anderson and I'm the CEO and founder of homegrown Media. And this is the place where I will be interviewing the owners and leaders of recruitment agencies to discover their secrets to successful growth. Owning a recruitment business can be very, very rewarding. There's no doubt about that. However, it's very hard and can often be a really lonely place for all those involved. My vision for this podcast is to inspire those who are planning to start a recruitment agency in the future or are in the trenches of growth right now, ultimately by telling the stories of those who've already trodden the path. Welcome to the Recruitment Agency Growth Podcast, otherwise known as The RAG. My name's Sean Anderson and I'm the CEO and founder of homegrown Media. And this is the place where I will be interviewing the owners and leaders of recruitment agencies to discover their secrets to successful growth. Owning a recruitment business can be very, very rewarding. There's no doubt about that. However, it's very hard and can often be a really lonely place for all those involved. My vision for this podcast is to inspire those who are planning to start a recruitment agency in the future or are in the trenches of growth right now, ultimately by telling the stories of those who've already trodden the path. In this week's episode, I'm joined by Sasza Bandiera, the Managing Director of the Oyster Partnership, London-headquartered property specialist recruitment business with 59 staff, where 97% of those people are organically grown. Now, I, for one, think that's a pretty amazing stat. Let's find out how he's done it. Sasza, how you doing?
Yes, very good, mate. You?
You've been in the room for 5 minutes. You've already had your phone ringing twice.
Yeah, 3 times.
3 times?
3 times.
Sasza, it's great to have you in, buddy. The first time you've seen the homegrown Media HQ, what are your initial thoughts?
Yeah, nice, mate. It's it's different. It's definitely different. I haven't been over this way for a little while.
You're a Croydon boy at heart, right?
Yes. Yeah, Croydon. All the way. not for a little while, but that's definitely where it was.
So
starting.
when did I first meet you? Was it nearly 2 years ago?
Yeah, probably about 2
I
years ago.
think you messaged me on LinkedIn and said, come and see us.
Yeah, I saw some of your some of the posts on Instagram and on LinkedIn and thought, you know what, this is kind of what I'm looking
different.
for. Yeah, absolutely.
I remember coming in and thinking, wow, these guys are crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, look,
good at heart.
I've done a little brief intro there to you, mate, and obviously I feel like I know you quite well and the business quite well, but I've been so excited to talk about your business because I think genuinely, I know it sounds like there's a lot of recruitment companies out there, but I actually think you guys are doing something a little bit different, and we'll talk about why I think that. So before I do go into any questions, just give the listeners an overview of who you are and who Oyster are today.
Well, yeah, my name's Sasza. I started as a trainee recruiter at Oyster when it was a 10-man band. I grew up in Croydon for my sins. And I literally, probably like 98% of the people fell into recruitment, and Oyster was the not the third option, but the third company, or the first company to say yes, which was the third company I interviewed with. So, when
was that? What year was that?
That was January 2008 when I was interviewing.
Right.
Got the job February the 12th, 2008 at Oyster.
Oh, that's
so yeah, and sort of growing up within the business and being very fortunate to be a part of its growth. And
now you're the managing director.
Yes, yeah, managing director, shareholder. So there's myself and Dan now,
right?
And hopefully in the future it'll be different again.
So, how the hell? What I don't want to do is go too much in the detail of the like granular level of your experience as a recruiter, because I think that's where the Recruitment Rollercoaster podcast, we're going to get you back in at some point for that. But tell us that you started as a trainee and now you're the MD. How, in a really short way, I mean, how did that happen? How the hell does that happen?
I think definitely being part of a private company and a smaller company is going to give you opportunities to do that.
Yeah.
But I think, I was lucky that I fell in front of a chap, Daniel Womes, who, quite frankly, I bought into from the minute I met him.
Is that the guy I met recently? From Manchester?
Yeah, chap from Manchester, my partner. And, I think over the years, you're a young age, recruiters are naive and always have that sort of, I'm going to be used and et cetera, et cetera. And, I always believed everything that Dan taught me and told me. And
so at
what,
the time,
proud.
Who was running Oyster? Was it just Dan? Or what
there was Dan, his partner Jack, the two founders.
Right. How many was in the business?
literally, I think there was 11.
Right.
But, the week before there were 13, and a week later when I started, there was a couple less.
Really?
Yeah.
What was that? What was going on?
Oh, literally, just typical recruitment, the revolving doors of people coming and goings.
Right.
And you know what, it probably stayed like that for a good 4 or 5 years, up until 2013, where similar sort of head count, 12, 16, 17.
Well, and that's where you learnt your trade as a biller, basically, in an 11, 12-man business.
Literally, 11, 12-man business, no processes, no textbooks, no training, no coaching. It was literally like, right, 3 hours in the morning in the boardroom, learning about your desk, some keywords, buzzwords, and then it was get on the telephones.
Crack on. Was it always the same sector, property?
Yeah. I always stayed in the same sector, public sector, property, contract. And then what I found was, like most recruiters, when you build a good relationship with a client or whatever, they pass you on to somebody else, or you hear about something else, you might go, right, you know what, I could fill that.
Yeah.
I'll stay later and do that. And I think over the next sort of 3 or 4 years, I must have, looked at, 4 or 5 different markets and started placing people and building relationships with different hiring managers and key stakeholders and businesses to start growing basically some of the foundations and divisions that we've got now. Yeah.
So, okay, let's see. I mean, so you 4 years, and you're still 12 or 11 people. You must have been earning good money, or you'd have probably gone by then. If it's not, if the organisation's not growing, what made you stay?
Well, I mean, I was earning. I was earning good money. But I mean, from the job that I had before, where I was on, I think my last pay slip from my job at Phones for You was 10,750 a year, and I think I might have racked that up to 15 grand. So for me, I think earning any money and having some stability was enough for me to say, you know what, I'm sticking here and staying here, because
they're looking after me.
Yeah, they're looking after me. I like it. I'm realising my potential. I'm learning and earning every day. And I think I always had that fear that, because I didn't have any qualifications, that, geez, if I lose this or drop out of this, what the hell am I going to do? So I just, I put all my eggs into one basket, really. And, it's paid off. It's paid off, I think, over the years.
So what, tell us that, you said, was it 2013 when things started to change?
Yeah, so I think that so going back to what you said about, did I get bored or whatever, there definitely came a moment where I was like, right, you know what, I'm a bit frustrated that, the quality and the calibre of the staff that we got in here could be used to such a better extent.
Yeah.
13 people, 14 people, again, 4 or 5 years on, I was like, geez, we could be so much bigger and better than we're currently doing. Dan and Jack said, right, come up with a plan. So came up with a plan to open up another division, permanent division that we'd never really done or concentrated on before, and outside of the public sector.
Wow.
So literally went from that plan in April 2013 to executing it with our first academy, which was the first real big change we had at Oyster, where we started hiring in groups as opposed to one-offs here and there. And all trainees.
Trainees, yeah.
Always trainees, yeah. I mean, obviously, like anyone, somebody comes along with a bit of experience, will have had a chat, etc. But over the years, it's not. Only a couple have really come through and worked out. So yeah, the academy started, and I remember taking on probably about 7 or 8 back then, and concentrating fully on onboarding, coaching, training, developing teams in sizes like that, and the permanent.
So there was 2 owners, and then you underneath them at that point.
Yes, yeah, and that's when I first became a shareholder,
right?
A minority shareholder, but nonetheless a shareholder, and a new lease of life in terms of, right, I've now got a different avenue to go down. I've got a different challenge. My money's going to come from somewhere else. Were
you still recruiting at all then?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't stop completely. I mean, I must have, had 30, 35 runners out or something like that. A couple of perm positions here or there, and no, I didn't stop completely for a good couple of years, but I wasn't on the phones every day.
Yeah,
it was a placement once a month type thing.
Yeah,
leading by example is always one of the things that we've harped on about since day dot. And I
still think that is the hardest part of. It was the hardest part of my recruitment journey. It was going from being the biller with, I had 34, 35 runners out myself when I went into leadership.
One less than me.
What's that?
Nothing.
Yeah, it probably was one less. Depends on the margins, though. We'll talk about that later. But genuinely, like, to go from that kind of ruthlessness of managing yourself to managing other people.
Yeah.
Did you take to that pretty quick? Did you struggle with it?
Yeah, well, no, because actually I'd been managing earlier on anyway.
Right.
So at 18 months I got my first my hire, and I think like most junior managers, they struggle with time. They struggle with balancing all the plates you have to spin in recruitment anyway. And then when you've got to get somebody else to do it yourself, is tough. And when you don't have a massive corporate brand behind you and an L&D program and cash and all the time in the world, you have to learn on the spot. So no, I was already used to managing sort of, I don't know, I had about probably seven on the team myself anyway. But it was a new challenge, and for me, I definitely started to realise that, okay, you know what, I can recruit, I enjoy it, I still get a buzz off it, and I'll never lose that. But watching somebody else, bringing somebody in from interview stage who doesn't know anything about recruitment, sometimes not even sales, coaching them, training them, watching them do late nights and try and bash their heads against the brick wall just to try and make things work. I'll tell you what, there's nothing better than seeing somebody achieve. And when you do it multiple times and then you see them coming up through the ranks and then them doing it, it's just, for me, I was getting a real kick off that. So at the 5-year point in 2013, it was brand new again for me. Yeah. And that's been the last 5 years of what I've been doing.
So let's talk about that then. So staff numbers, you took 7 in, so what, you're around 20-ish or so, 20, 25?
Oh, no, what, back then on the first academy?
Yeah.
No, probably about 18.
Right.
Something like that.
And now you're at 59.
Yeah,
that's big.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, again, the attrition in the early days wasn't great. I was obviously new to it. You were starting new desks, so it's, how long's a piece of string? How long can you invest in this before, we need to see some return? It went on back and forth. I think we got to about 42 heads at our biggest in probably mid 2015.
So within
something
2 years.
Like that, within 2 years.
So you doubled or just over doubled the organisation?
Yeah, doubled. Yeah, absolutely.
What would you put that down to, that rapid movement at that point?
Well, I think there's a couple of changes. Obviously, me coming off the desk, and Daniel actually had made contact with Russell Clements, who's obviously the ex-CEO of S3, and he'd just retired and was open to some opportunities, and very fortunate for Oyster and very fortunate for me, managed to land an NED role with us, and I sort of spent time having board meetings and some coaching sessions with Russell over the next sort of couple of years, and he definitely brought a different angle, a commercial business angle to the organisation, one that we're not obviously used to, etc.
Like what? Can you pinpoint any changes specifically?
Just the things like learning and development, how to look at deals, ratios, numbers, real facts and figures. I mean, we always have been pretty good at that. We're quite a detailed organisation and recruiters. But when you start talking in numbers the way he did, and actually understanding them and the logic behind them and all the rest of it, that really sort of massively helped transform. But I mean, I don't think it was, it wasn't all gravy, and it wasn't all easy. I think some of the biggest challenges I had and that I learned around the mid 2015 point was, it's easy. It's not easy to hire, but putting bums on seats is one thing.
Yeah.
Where the things I was missing, I now realise in hindsight I was missing, was culturally the right people.
Right.
The right, they got the right ethos, the right mentality.
What was the culture like back then?
Still a core of what we've got now. Good, ambitious, young, hungry individuals. Bit of madness to them.
Well, I would just so the listeners can get a vision, right? You go into Oyster, and it is really, everyone looks really polished, really sharp, suited and booted. Probably average age, I'd say mid-20s. Pretty smart, quite good-looking chaps, I'd say. There's quite a you get like a vibe off it, a bit like Suits or something on TV, I'd say. But when you then scrape away at people and ask questions, which I've done in the past, the responses are remarkably similar. From the way they talk about you to the brand. I feel like if you peeled back, they'd all have like an oyster tattoo somewhere.
Yeah, we're thinking about that actually.
Yeah, well, have you seen this? Well, I've got Hoxo tatted on my wrist. I think you responded to my Instagram
straight away. Yeah,
yeah. We're going off track, but that's what you do on podcasts anyway. So. I've just got back from Thailand. I was getting my old I was going in for my fiance to get one tattoo, and then 2 hours later I came out with the one I've got touched up, a brand new one, and she had got another one. So we came out with 4. Decent. Says a lot about me, that. But I got Hoxo tattooed on my wrist. Sasha responded to my Instagram with a little I don't think it was a laughing face. But now I'm hoping that you're going to get Oyster tattooed on yours.
Yeah, soon.
Get it sorted.
On the cheeks.
But would you say that's an accurate representation of your lot?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And I think...
was it like that then?
Yeah, past and present, I don't think... as I said, I think the biggest thing was the cultural side. So, we're still fun, we still work hard, play hard, the standard sort of stuff, but I think, as I said, the cultural side perhaps didn't get quite on point. And actually, we grew at such a pace where, again, something I learned only from... hindsight, etc., making mistakes, was that it's such an important thing to make sure that your leadership and your management team are ready. They're ready to take people on. It's sturdy. The career path is the right one. That people are being promoted and put into positions that are the right reasons and the right people for it.
Did you have a set structure at that point, or did Russell implement that as well? Or?
No. He didn't implement anything like that. In fact, no. In his tenure, we didn't really talk about job descriptions per se and positions and stuff like that. It wasn't that sort of level of detail. Yeah. It was from having made the mistakes really that we realised, there's roles and responsibilities. We're not holding people accountable here.
Yep.
They're a bit grey area. It's a bit this. It's a bit that. It's probably not fit for purpose really. And I think again, if you grow too quickly without the right foundations, the house is going to fall down. And to be fair, that's exactly what happened in sort of mid to end 2015. At which point Russell had finished. So and by the way, it wasn't Russell's fault. Just in case you're listening, Russ.
So what actually happened at the end of 2015?
Well, I realised that this is not going to be able to go on like this, and had to make some calls. Had to realise that unfortunately some people not fit, and actually and vice versa. People didn't think Oyster was changing. I was changing it, and it wasn't right for them either. So 6 of one, half a dozen the other.
Well, listen to I've mentioned this book on every podcast, I think, so I'm not going to keep banging on about it, but I'm listening to the audio book of a book called Traction. I've read it now. This is the second time I've read it, just because I want to get... Because we're rolling it out here, I want to know it inside out, right? And literally in the car before coming in this morning, there was one bit where he said, be careful what you ask for, because change is growth. Growth is change, and change is not always what everyone else wants. So not everyone's going to come on that journey with you.
No,
so
not.
And sometimes it's the people you like the most as people that don't want to change and grow with you. Which,
and you know what? That you hit the nail on the head, because in fact that was definitely the case with some, and other lessons. The boundaries between your work and your friendship and all the rest of it can obviously blur the lines, let's say. But then so that sort of went on. We went for a sort of murky period.
How many did you let go at the end of that year? Or
I think it was about 26, to be honest.
Wow,
over a 12-month period.
Cut half.
Yeah. Obviously we were still hiring and all the rest of it. But we cut half, and it was definitely worrying at the time. But luckily I had the support around me. The guys knew what we were doing and what I was trying to achieve, and it was just it's just time for a change, and you need to appreciate time. The transition will take time. And then I think the next sort of major change was again Dan got hold of a chap called Paul Flynn, who obviously sold Eurostaff back in early 2015, and I got Paul on board as an NED. Fortunately for me, spent a lot of time with me, mentoring me, coaching me, down to sort of one afternoon a week type thing.
Really?
And that really sort of revolutionised how I thought, the processes, the procedures, the nooks and crannies, the job descriptions, just everything about the business, all the below the surface stuff, not just picking up the phone and selling.
Yeah.
Vision, mission, values, the website, marketing, all that sort of stuff. So it really gave me definitely a more all-rounded view as to how to look at the organisation and how to hopefully grow it in the right direction. And I think over the last 2 years, we've gone absolutely from strength to strength, where obviously now we're sort of 50 recs, 59 in total, back on the GP ladder and, climbing forward. So it's a really, really exciting time at the moment. Really, really pleased.
So if you could say one thing that's changed since 2016, what is it?
The vision, mission, and values, and the collaborative one. I.e., it wasn't me that came up with it. It was a team effort. It was the leadership team. The L&D program that we put in for the managers. That has really transformed.
What did you do? Did you use like an off-site?
Yeah, I used an off-site.
Who did you use? Let's get a little bit of promotion for someone who's done a good job.
Lynn Morton.
Lynn Morton.
There we go. Yeah.
Lynn, if you're listening, I don't know who you are. I'll tag you in the post.
She's brilliant.
She's good, yeah?
Yeah, she's absolutely brilliant. Yeah, so thanks to Paul. Lynn Morton.
And what did Lynn do? Was it like you sent them once a month or once a week?
No, she came in.
Oh, she came in.
Yeah, once a month. Create a program. Obviously, listen to the guys. What do we need? Built a package around that. And the guys went through a course, as it were. But I think it's definitely good to get an outsider's point of view. So
you talked about already in this episode how the right people for a start. You had some of the wrong people and accountability. You talked about putting in the process and structure to train the management layer. You also touched on at the start, which I've not probed yet, about different products and services. So basically going into multiple sectors or multiple avenues of one sector, public, private sector, etc. So was there any one of those three that was more prevalent in growth? Or
I think the L&D side for the management would definitely be
your secret sauce.
Yeah, because I think strengthening numbers. I think the real, value in a senior, a team leader, or a manager is being able to bring on board, coach, develop, and train the next generation of recruiters. And the whole ethos and philosophy at Oyster has always been building the business around its people. That's what I was sold, and that's what I was told as I was working my socks off day in and day out, and that's what came true for me. And I think that's absolutely what I'd like to give back. And I think investing in your people, looking after your people, and make sure you've got the right people. I know that's all sounds easy, and it's obviously not, but that really is the key thing.
So what do you do that shows you're investing in them? I mean, you've mentioned things to me in the past, but what specific? You've got the leadership for management. What else do you do? Yeah,
I think the thing is with investment, I think most people tend to look at it from a monetary perspective. And I know over the years I've definitely found that recruitment is obviously a commission and bonus led industry, but actually people aren't all that fussed about money. There's always two or three real top earners, top performers that are, but actually it's about inclusivity, collaborative working. It's where the vision is, what are we all doing here? It's who the people they work with. So, other than things like holidays and lunches, and these are the things that I think every other agency do.
That's one thing to touch on before we carry on. So, most of the industry I know do the quarterly lunch clubs.
Quarterly?
Yeah.
Wow.
Quarterly. Some do monthly, but a lot do quarterly lunch clubs, and then they might do an annual holiday or a biannual at best. Tell us what you do.
So this is a bit where I'm going to have to retract.
This is all about you as well, I reckon. This is just for your benefit.
So we do a quarterly holiday to Europe, a couple of nights, Friday morning, Sunday lunchtime. We do an Ibiza every summer. Yeah, that tends to be 4 days.
Do you go on all of them?
Yeah, yeah, I have to.
So it's all about the people, Sasha.
Yes,
it's all about
absolutely.
the others. It's not about you, is it?
Leading by example. That's what I say to the guys at work and at home at wife. It's my job.
Yeah.
So that, and then we put in a target for a yearly one as well, like a Vegas. Yeah. To be honest with you, we haven't actually been on the Vegas one now since 2015, but it's nonetheless it is there, for us to go.
So where are some of the places you've been?
Oh my God, where have we been? Berlin, Barcelona, countless times. Ibiza, Nice. We go off to Nice soon. Where else?
Do you find it hard in the winter to find locations that are not?
Well, yeah, actually. So if you look down the south of France or south of Spain, actually 15, 16 in Barcelona is not bad. Yeah. Especially when the sun's out. So that's what we tend to do. Right. And in summertime, we don't go to the city simply because who wants to spend? Their weekend in a city at 32 degrees, so we go to Ibiza, which is a good compromise.
I've got my stag in Ibiza this summer.
I'm coming.
Yeah.
When is it?
Emma's arranging it, my business partner. It's the 20th of May. Might be.
May.
No, it's not. It's the first weekend in June, actually. 7th of June, I think.
Oh, right, okay.
I don't know, I haven't been involved. There's a big group that I'm not involved in, so...
all your clients?
Well, I hope not. Awesome. I really hope not. But I've never been. So I've done your classic holidays to Magaluf, Malia, all that stuff when I was younger.
Nice.
And Ibiza, we were going to do a summer when I was at uni.
Yeah.
And I don't know what happened. I didn't do it. And I've still not been. So to go first on your stag, is that a bad idea?
Absolutely not.
Am I going to
see
stag
do there.
Did you?
Yeah. No, you're going to see it. I think, look, Ibiza... I don't think it's got a bad rep, actually. I don't think so. I think people may form an opinion if they've not been, but it's a beautiful island and it's got lots there, and it's not full of, there is full of 19-year-olds, but, there is lots of it that are, partying with 50, 60-year-olds. I know when I took Oyster there last year, we were in Pasha at 5 in the morning, and in our little circle of, dancers, there was a couple that must have been at least 70.
Well, that's a good
away.
point. My dad's not 70, but he's 63. No, 62. I'm getting that wrong. Sorry, Dad, if you're listening. But he's been a beef. He was in Ushuaia sending me photos, and I was like, my dad's been, and I've not been. Yeah, I think he looked like he was in better shape than me as well. So I need to sort my shit out.
And then we do lunch clubs and stuff like that.
Every time I speak to you, tend to be, it's like a Friday, and you're always going out. So there's always something going on.
Yeah, absolutely. And we put things in place like targets for certain KPIs, and we change them up, and so it's not always the same. And we try and do things a bit differently. Last year, I arranged a summer boot camp with the guys, with my PT, and every Friday morning, I think we had probably about 22 of our guys turn up to the office at 7 in gym kit, and Mike took us all round training in the streets in Green Park for the next 3 months, all of June, all of July, all of August.
Yeah, I've seen some of the videos of that sort of stuff. I think it's amazing. Hisham has taken the role of health and well-being sort of lead here at Hoxo, and he's into his mindfulness, yoga, all sorts of stuff. So we're putting together a bit of a plan. This location isn't ideal for what we want. We've just looked at a new office in Bethnal Green yesterday. That if we can get it, Bethnal Green's got a huge park by the station, like tennis courts and stuff. So that I can just see the summer. We'll spend the mornings out there. But it's really important, I think, to do this. You can do the alcohol, the fun stuff, but it can't all be about that.
No, absolutely not.
Like JJ you just met here is like a strict Muslim. He doesn't drink, so I feel like we have to make sure that we're including other people.
Absolutely, and I think. Sorry to cut you off, but a couple of years ago, perhaps we grew at a pace where it's like, right, this is what we're doing, and whether you like it or not, you lump it. This is what we're doing, and it has. I had to get used to it, but people are coming in with their own suggestions, and now it's completely different. My door's always open, and a couple of people have a quiet word with me and say, Sash, I'm thinking about doing this, raising some money for charity. Maybe it's a 5-a-side football team, whether it's a run around the park 10K or whatever it is, and it's the guys, and again, I think that's the really key important thing is to listen to the guys and try and work something out if it's around the business and all the rest of it. So
what about that? I remember you mentioned something about people, their kind of personal goals. So it's not even to work. Tell us about that program you did.
Yeah, so over last Christmas, I was just digging around some paperwork at home, and I found an old goals and objectives sheet that I'd done in 2009 with my previous manager, and I'd not seen it, and it was printed out, and I looked at it, and it had literally a list of things for the next 10 years, funny enough to 2018, right? Of all the things I wanted to do, so it's things like buy this car, buy my first flat, go on a holiday, take just for the most part, plastic things, materialistic things. But I looked at it and I thought, you know what, I haven't seen this, but it has been in the back of my mind all these years, and it's definitely been something that has kept me going. It's been my motivators. And I thought, you know what, I don't think this is something that should be sniffed at. So I brought it in and I showed a couple of the guys, not for any other reason than look, I want to develop this idea. And so I came out with the first goals and objectives plan, which I think about definitely half the business, 50%, maybe 60% of the business has now undertaken, which is, it's a series of questions, and it really makes you think about your purpose and your situation and what it is you want out of the next 2 or 3 years, because time goes quickly, and it especially does in recruitment, and I think a lot of people can waste the opportunity or not even realise they've got a good one. So we went through this, and one-on-one I would then sit down with anyone that wanted to do it, so it wasn't forced.
No.
And they'd come through with me, with all their their monetary objectives, their goals. It might be, yoga, it might be to lose weight, it might be to learn a language, all different things. And what I did was, sat with each of them, and we went through that, and we then set it out for objectives throughout the calendar year or financial year, whatever. And we sit down and we mark them back up, and we go back over them with them, and I sort of help them with that. The managers do. So it's a collaborative thing again, and it's because we care, and I think a lot of people can go, be in a job and just be left to do their job and get wasted on other things. And I think it's important to...
And if you really think about it, employees in general are motivated by something that's theirs, right? So they'll love what they're doing and the money's great, but it's not the money, it's what the money gets them. And unless they know what that is, then
choices.
So you it's going to have a better impact on the bottom line if they're motivated by stuff that's in there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think also the charity work, I've always been quite sort of hot on that, albeit it's been sporadic, but 2 years ago made a real big change to these guys need to and want to do some charity work. So a couple of days a week now it's required that they all a couple of days a week. No, there's no chance. A couple of days.
Got this big charitable organisation.
Yeah. We don't do anything, do we? 2 days a year where they pick a charity and they go off and work. And I obviously don't take it out of their annual leave or anything. But we've had all walks of life. We've had them in groups. We've had them just ones going off to help. Maybe cook soup for the homeless people, or one of the special ones I think we're really proud of is help painting some bedrooms of young kids who have come from unfortunate backgrounds in London and who obviously can't afford any of that sort of stuff. It's been a real eye opener for the guys, and I think as well because we've got quite a young workforce, and I think typically in recruitment it is it's important, I think, for when you're in your 20s to realise that look, literally on your doorstep that's going on. So I think it's worth realising that, so you appreciate your situation.
Would you look? A lot of the listeners of this podcast, or in my aim, we might be the only two listening to this. Well, we're not, but we might.
Dan might be listening.
There might not be that many at this point. We're only in episode 5. Give us a year, we'll have the industry. I'm confident. But a lot of the people I want to talk to, and I'm passionate about talking to, are potentially not quite where you are today. They might be, but I want to talk to the guys that are potentially in year 1 and 2 of either setting up or taking over a business, potentially up to 10 staff. 81% of the industry is less than 10 staff.
Yes, yeah.
So the majority are in that play. Or even more interestingly, I want to talk to the guys that are probably in an organisation now thinking, right, January next year, I'm setting up my new agency, because we know it's going to happen. So we might as well start educating these people so that we keep the industry and make it stronger.
Don't do it.
Yeah. Dude, that's the side I want to get out of this podcast. Not too corporate. Yeah. But these things you've talked about, I can imagine if I was like in a recruitment business of 6 people, I'm on the tools, I'd be like, oh, that's fine, he can do that. He's got 59 people. He's got, do you know what I mean? They've got money. They've got processes. They can do it. What would you advise, or how would you help someone who is still on the tools potentially, is trying to be the finance guy, be the HR guy, be the recruiter, be the manager, be the leader, and then go home to his family? And what little things could they implement that don't take too much time but have the most impact in the early days?
Well, I think you've got to concentrate on your goals, really, and I think staying afloat if you're a small 5-man band is the first thing, and I think that there's going to need to be some strategy around a time frame, working towards that time frame, and then effectively coming off the tools. And there's going to have to be a compromise. You can't be it's all good being a billing manager and leading the example, but you're not going to grow if you're sat on the telephones doing X, Y and Z. So I think you're going to probably have to lay out some money, whether that's for the finance function, whether that's for an NED, whether that's for to grow their headcount, or get new offices or whatever. So,
but what you just said there, I was hoping you'd say is the goals bit's free. It doesn't take a lot of time. You could do it on a Saturday, but as long as you know your drivers, then you can get your team to know their drivers. Straight away, I reckon that's something that half of these businesses haven't done, because they're just in the detail.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I mentioned it before. The philosophy of Oyster has always been to grow the business around its people. That's why it's probably taken slower than it should have done. 59 is great, but we should have probably been 59 5 years ago. Yeah,
but what you did also say is that 97% are organic. So
exactly that.
That's another indicator that you're getting something right.
Yeah, you need to invest, as I said, in the people. That really for me is the key thing. You look after them, you show them the way, you show them what can be done. You can you show them how to realise their potential, and those are the guys. You scratch their back, they'll scratch yours.
Why don't you take experienced recruiters or people with experience and bring them
in?
What
we do, and we have a couple of great guys that we hired in 2018. They just don't actually come around very often, and I think it might be naive of me to say that, but most good recruiters are probably being looked after. Most
should
good,
be.
Well, yeah,
should be.
They're probably not all sitting there wondering what they're doing, but I think it's been quite difficult. I think definitely in the past for experienced recruiters to come on, because actually, they might come from a big corporate or whatever, we do things differently. You really have to earn your stripes at Oyster. You know, you're on the phones building your own relationships and you know, bringing on your own jobs and, you know, finding your own candidates full 360, but at a pace and a rate that, you know, we've taught them at. And that is, you know, our guys are standing up on the phones 5 hours a day, you know, and I think a lot of people have come in before and just gone, geez, this is not, I might have done this in the first 6 months, or actually I've never done this at all. So actually just can't keep up with it, is what we found.
So the way that you work, it's probably easier to breed people from the ground up than actually bring someone who's got a couple of years of doing it completely different.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
As I said,
Makes sense.
We don't discount it. It's you know, it is part of our strategy. We do look at it on a you know, personal thing. I don't really like calling all the agencies and trying to pinch all their staff. I just, you know what, if somebody wants to come over, or if I want to have a chat, then I will. But it's not part of our, you know, that's not our strategy. Growing them organically takes a bit more time, but they understand it. They know what you know, the hurdles they jumped, and you know, they're thankful a couple of years on when they know they can stay here and actually can build a career out of it. Yeah.
So what's going on right now? 2019, we've just started off. What's on the agenda this year? What are you trying to achieve?
Well, our financial year is up until the end of May, so we've only got another quarter left.
Right.
So hopefully, you know, hopefully some record numbers for the business.
Can you share that? What are you trying to
hit? We'll probably do over 6 mil GP.
Great.
28 mil turnover, something like that.
Right, okay. That's an interesting point as well, because people do get confused with turnover when I'm talking to them. I think if you're a traditional perm recruitment business, then your turnover and your GP is the same, right? But it's the contract book.
Perm, yeah.
Yes, it's the contract book that changes that.
Turnover vanity.
Yeah, exactly. But still, from a bank perspective, I think you get some benefits the bigger your turnover are, don't you?
Yeah, only just. But as I said, I don't actually have any KPI, and I don't run my board meetings like that at all, or anything like that. We know it's there, but it's not really a figure that we concentrate on.
So 6 mil GP,
over 6,
NFI, by the end of May. What implication does that have for the business?
Well, hopefully it'll be, you know, it'll help us with our sort of next round of growth. We are currently possibly looking for new offices, so obviously that's a large investment. Hopefully more L&D with some junior staff into team leader management positions. Yeah, we're going to be investing in doing some, you know, hopefully setting up again some new divisions. Obviously there is a cost in that if you don't bill, etc. So that's kind of what's going on for 2019, 2020. We're looking a lot more at mental health and well-being next year. You know, again looking after the staff. And then hopefully just moving forward. I think the sort of the next 3 years is definitely the 120 mark in regards to head count.
Is that all going to be London?
Yeah, well, Manchester was supposed to be a project of mine about 18 months ago, but
that's when we met. Actually.
Yeah, that was it.
You were trying to get me in there. I was like, no, I've just got a different business here, man.
Come on, 19 grand. So it didn't work out to. I mean, again, I think, you know, without sounding too sort of up our own backsides, we just couldn't find anyone that we felt was at the right calibre. You know, these are people that had owned businesses, even directors of, you know, big departments, big teams, big companies, and quite frankly, I wouldn't have put them in charge of an ice cream truck. So hopefully we are UK wide. We have done a couple of placements abroad as well, but hopefully a regional office. Here
international expansion?
Not just yet. Definitely sort of in the next 3 years, that's something I'll be looking at.
Any part of the world that takes you fancy?
Germany, possibly, America.
Interestingly, I was at the TRN, the Recruitment Network, on Wednesday. Yeah. Their New Year huddle, and it was Russell Clements on the panel talking, and he made a really good point about internationalisation of your business, and you've probably heard this because you used to sit with him, but get your operation right in the UK first, he said. If you can't show a strong market share, process, management team, the real linchpins of a successful business here, what makes you think you're going to instantly do it abroad? Absolutely. And he also said another thing, which Russell, if you're listening, I absolutely loved this, was again, change means complexity. Growth means change, and change means complexity. Yeah. So if you grow by... And complexity grows at a rate that's not linear to growth. So if you open a second office, he said that doesn't mean your business is 2 times more complex, probably 10 times. You then go abroad and open 10 offices, you're probably going to have 100 times the complexity. So does that motivate you, having that kind of other Sashas around the world?
Oh, absolutely. Look, I'm not sort of sitting here on my own throne hoping that no one ever topples me. It's absolutely where I wanted to go. And I have said it to the guys in the office, and, they're not quite ready yet, but hopefully, at some point in the next couple of years they will be. When somebody's up to a level where they're able to onboard, coach, build a division, and, hey, they want to take the opportunity to move out to the US or whatever to take on something new. That's the person I'm going to build it around in the initial instance.
Yeah.
They do the scouting, they go and
so it'll be an organic grown, as it should be in your business, and it'll be someone who puts their hand up.
Yeah,
what about,
absolutely.
Would you look at Dublin or Ireland with obviously, is it Rob, the Irish guy?
Rob.
He's to be
honest with you,
superstar.
I don't think Rob would want to go back to.
Would he not? I'm just thinking with the whole Brexit
Ireland
situation, a lot of recruiters are starting to open Dublin offices just to give them that pathway.
Route. Yeah, no, I think Rob's definitely one of the people that would be up for that sort of a challenge. But just like you said and what Russ said, and is absolutely what I've always thought is, you've got to get your own house right first before you start walking into someone else's and trying to tell them how to do it. So we need to get the UK operation to a point where comfortable.
So one of the other things I like to talk about, which is I'm really passionate about when it comes to growth, is actually the personal side for you as a leader. All right, you've just talked about the personal side for everyone, your whole workforce. You care about you want their goals. What's going on as you outside of work that you're passionate about from a personal growth perspective? And I'm going to hit you with two questions. How do you manage the two? Because I've heard a million entrepreneurs tell me that's the biggest challenge, is they can be the best at work and then they drop the ball at home, or if they invest too much at home, they're not. How do you do it?
Yes, I think it's a fine balance. I mean, it's not. I wouldn't say either or is easier than the other. You go home and I'm in trouble type thing. But I've got two daughters, a wife, and I've worked very hard to get there. And I'm one of those people. I'm very conscious that what I've got is quite precious. So I work hard to try and make sure that both sides of the fence are looked after and that everyone knows that.
You're a bit of a cook, I think. Every time your Instagram is either your car, some kind of mad skyline from a drone, or your barbecue opening up.
My barbecue, big green egg.
What's going on with that?
That's the kiddie.
What is it?
Kiddie.
Tell me.
I'm Italian by background, so fortunately for me, I grew up both my mum and father. Whoever's house I was at. Always.
Are they both Italian, your parents?
No, my mum was she was English. My father was Italian as well.
Yeah.
So, but my mum had lived in Italy, so she knew how to speak and cook good food. And they spent a lot of time and love put into our dinners pretty much every night, throughout our childhood.
Yeah.
And naturally going on holiday to Italy only increases that. So no, I love cooking. I probably spend an hour a night cooking every night. In fact, my wife doesn't cook. I don't let her in the kitchen.
Really?
Yeah.
So you get home. What time do you normally get home?
Probably about 6:45. Put kids to bed.
Where do you live now?
Surbiton.
Oh, that's near Richmond way, right?
Yeah, Southwest. Yeah, Kingston. Yeah. Put the kids to bed and then crack on with the food. So food ready on the table by about 8, half 8. Tidy up, wash up. And then maybe sit down at 9 o'clock and then go to bed. To be honest with you, I'm in bed by about.
And what's your signature dish?
You know what? I'm going through a spate at the moment. No, it's not. It was. But, my bologneses normally take 48 hours. A good lasagna takes 48 hours. But
Italian here.
I like doing a lot of Malaysian cooking,
really?
Chinese cooking, rice dishes, prawn dishes.
Thai dishes.
Yeah, Thai dishes, that sort of thing at the moment. So I wouldn't say I've got a signature dish. I'm just playing around. And with the barbecue, my God, I'm literally putting stuff on there for like 9 hours at a time. Just
using it in the winter as well?
Mate, I've cooked on it every weekend in the winter. I do my Christmas.
Unless it's raining.
Nah, even when it's raining.
Have you got a shelter above?
Well, no, it's a green egg. Yeah, come on, mate.
When you open the egg, is that still shelter?
No, it's a ceramic lid, so you can't. It's fine. Yeah. If it got wet, it doesn't matter.
Well, I've told you before, my fiance is Turkish, right? Born in the UK, but both parents from Istanbul, and it's proper Turkey. You go to a house, it's Turkish speaking, it's Turkish radio, it's Turkish TV. Yep. So I've been learning the language pretty seriously the last 12 months. I'm still not very good, but I understand what's going on.
I've got a couple of Turkish boys in the office, actually. I hear the odd words.
I can understand a lot, and I can say enough to get by, but I've got get married in June, so I'm part of my list this week is to actually identify an aggressive course for the next 6 months, because I'd like to do a bit of a speech in basic Turkish.
Just go on Rosetta Stone.
What's that?
It's an app.
I've got an app, Babbel, it's great, but I still want to sit in a room and
I mean, there's
thrash it
nothing
out.
quite, but you probably don't have time
and
to do
Fitz
that.
is fluent, but she's so tired. She's just started a journey as a personal trainer, so when she gets home, the last thing she wants to do is start talking Turkish to me. But the reason I'm saying it is the food. Oh my God. I'd never eaten Turkish food till I met her.
Yeah, it's great
And
food.
now I'm obsessed with it, to the point where I probably cook more than she does.
Yeah.
I make like a mean Turkish breakfast. They
Nice.
have like...
What does that involve?
So it's a beef sausage called sucuk, which is it's a bit like a chorizo, but Turkish version. They've got a chicken sausage called salam, lots of feta, halloumi cheese, olives, salad, which really finely cut lettuce, tomatoes, onions. Which
it's all nicked off the Italians. Really.
Don't get into that. When I first, it's a lot of olive oil, like you guys and lemon and all that stuff. But when I first met, I was like, she always winds me up and tells the story that I went round to Mum's house and they were making breakfast, and I was like, salad? It's like 9:30 in the morning. I'm like, back home, I will not eat salad.
I'll have Cheerios.
Yeah. Where's the cornflakes?
No milk.
Where's the cornflakes? No, I was like, salad? And she's like, and I was like, what's that? She's like, Turkish sausage. I'm like, all right, what's that? And then I didn't know any of it. And I had these little miniature bites of everything. Not that I eat anything, but now I'm obsessed with it. To the point where, like, I'm like, can we go for Turkish food tonight? Can we go and do this? And she's like, you're more Turk than me now.
I love it. Even Greek, Turkish, Lebanese. Love Lebanese.
Lebanese
food.
is good. Lebanese is good.
Yeah, love
look, Sash, I think we can wrap up. One final question. What would you say has been the biggest learning? The one thing you've learned the most over the last five years of going from that, I'm going to take the management of this business now and take it forward. What would you say is the one bit of learning and bit of advice you give someone else who's in a similar boat?
Believing and trusting in the management team that work for you, and then putting in a program for them to ultimately get better. It was definitely something we just never really considered. It was just kind of done on a whim. You're expected to do that because you've been called a manager and paid for it. But for me, it's I give them responsibility, autonomy, and I trust them with it, and hopefully they feel they're trusted with it. But with that, I know that that they'll grow the business, which in turn is doing what we set out to do.
Brilliant. Where can people get hold of you, Sash? I know your Instagram is private, I think, but if you like to see someone who's cooking, then follow Sasha on Instagram. But LinkedIn, is that where you're most prevalent online?
Yeah, I mean, it's something I need to get better at this, actually. I'm not really a big social media. I've not had Facebook since 2007.
Really?
And Instagram is literally just personal stuff. So I don't even really use that. And LinkedIn is something that this year I'll be probably doing a little bit more on. But we're in Haymarket in Soho in central London. We're looking for people.
Yeah. So
we're looking for people.
If someone's listening and they want to join, they think they like what they've heard, what type of person, what background are you looking for?
Somebody that's background, background can be anything, but somebody that's feeling sort of underappreciated, they don't really know where they're going, and they want to be something, part of something really special. It's hard work, it's still a challenge, but we look after people, and it's it's a two-way street.
But people can contact you directly on LinkedIn. You're happy to take questions, yeah?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Brilliant. Look,
Sean.
Sasha, thanks so much, mate. It's been a pleasure. I've enjoyed every meeting I've had with you in the past, and we spoke about getting you on from before I even came up with the idea. So I'm glad that people have had the opportunity. Do reach out to Sash. He's open. He'll always come back to you when he remembers to read his emails. Different one there. But look, if you're listening to The Rag, then I'm all about feedback. Can you give me, if you're on the iTunes store, please do give us a 5-star rating and leave your comments. If you're listening via the website or Spotify, then look, drop us a note. If you want to be on The Rag, if you want to have your say and tell your story, then on the website, on the Rag page, which will be linked in the comment via whichever way you're looking at this or listening to this, there's a little form at the bottom which says request to be on the show. So I'm always looking for new people who want to be on the show. And it's not just those that grown big agencies. It's people with a genuine story, but also that are passionate about sharing it to help others. This is about bringing the industry closer. It's about growing the industry. I want the recruitment industry to survive. All of this AI cull that everyone's talking about. We'll be better together. So we share ideas. We'll be much better in the long run. Next week, we've got a really exciting episode. We release it at the end of every single week. So if you've enjoyed it today, look out for next week.